So it has a brew. Just a scabby red label Sainsbury's own brand tea, because I couldn't be bothered to make myself a proper cup of tea because, yeah, I don't know, I sort of got up quite late today. I've got pretty much the week off, and my plan was to use this week to create some videos and do a lot of stuff. There's been lots of stuff, other things I've been doing. Some games I've been catching up on, things like Spin Tires I've been playing, and Valiant Hearts, and some games I've not actually been able to play, so I've not actually really managed to get around to doing very many videos at all. It's kind of a bit shit, because I was kind of hoping to do an IP fire video, and a few other videos, and a few reviews, and it's not quite worked, so I do apologise about that, but I don't know, like, this leave is the only bit of leave I think I've had all year, apart from a couple of days here and there for things like EGX and stuff like that, and going up to London. I've not really had much leave, so I've kind of like had this as a proper leave, and it's kind of my holiday. I'm not actually going anywhere, which is a bit annoying because I'm out of work at the end of this month, so I don't really want to spend much money. Not heard back from any of my jobs that I've applied for either, so it might be agency work at the end of December, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, which is kind of really quite annoying. Not really necessarily relevant to what I usually talk about in terms of brew time, but people want to know about it, people are interested. This, by the way, is a bear onesie. Now, I bought it on Amazon in their daily deals. It cost me 15, 20 quid-ish, something like that. And I found out that it actually comes with a bum flap, which is a bit weird. I bought it and I didn't realise it had a bum flap. And it has one, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. And somebody said that I should wear it during brew time. I think it's called Dan. I don't know what his username is. But yeah, he said I should wear it in brew times. So that's what I'm doing. It's really quite a cool onesie. I don't like the fact it's got a bum flap on it, though. It's kind of a bit weird. It's kind of like either gay kinky stuff, or it's kind of like for people that can't control their bowels. It's sort of a bit like, oh, I don't know, it's like weird. So I doubt I'll be wearing it around the house very much, especially with my family about, because they might just be sniggering. I can't be dealing with that. Maybe when I get my own place again, it'll be fine. Anyway, I've missed, I don't know when the last time I did a brew time now. I've missed loads of stuff. I can't even remember anything major I have missed. Obviously, the release of loads of games came out. Things like Assassin's Creed Unity, which is an effing mess. Things like GTA 5 came out. Black Friday happened as well. I'm going to rant about this because this really pissed me off. Like, this is really a walk home blog kind of rant. But like, Black Friday apparently is a thing in the UK now. Last year we didn't really have it. We had Asda did a bit of a thing because Walmart's American, and the first year they tried anything. Amazon have been doing their Black Friday deal since 2010. It's been going really well, and you know, they've been doing that, and fair enough, they're an American company, whatever. And then what happened this year was that everybody and their uncle jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh yeah, great, let's have a Black Friday thing as well, which kind of like really, it kind of pissed me off, because number one, we don't have Thanksgiving, which is kind of the whole, where it all ties into. Thanksgiving and Black Friday kind of combine, although it's a bit weird because commercialism and being thankful for things are two different things, but you know, that's an American thing. And second of all, what really pissed me off was a lot of the Black Friday deals weren't actually deals. They were essentially a discount off an inflated price, or a discount off the RRP, which you would pay for anyway. Especially on the Black Friday deals on Amazon. There was a few that were like, well, you would save a lot of money, but in the end I decided not to go for them because of money and because of everything else. There's a few things I picked up for myself, and not that much. I think I picked up 2 onesies, a proper one-piece onesie in one of these. I didn't even pick up any shoes, because I usually pick up a couple of shoes, but that's because A, I've got too many shoes here, I've got loads of shoes in storage, and I've not really got the space to keep them here. When I get my own place, I shall probably go shoe mad again, and add to my already 20 pairs of shoes. That's one thing you may not know about me. I do like shoes, not in a weird fetishy way, like, I just like to have a pair of shoes for every outfit, and yeah, maybe that's very, very stereotypical, but hey. Yes, so that's kind of my life out of the way, I guess. There was something funny I was going to mention to do with work, but it obviously wasn't. Well, I was playing UN PC Keeper all of last week, which really pissed me off. Way, way, way above my pay grade. People getting uppity about how IT support's happening, and that kind of pissed me off. And the truth be told, I don't really want to work in the place that I work at anymore. And I can say that because you don't know where I work. Well, some of you do. And second of all my bosses don't watch this anyway, so it's fine. But I don't really want to work there anymore. But at the end of the day, I do still need money. And so, like, if I get a contract extension, obviously I'm going to take it, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But anyway, newsy time. So Microsoft's killing off Clipart, apparently because nobody uses it anymore, which is actually quite true. I don't think, very rarely, I mean, I still use Clipart once in a blue moon, maybe. More often than not, I get my stuff off the internet, especially for things like work and graphic design stuff. I certainly don't go to Clipart and get it, because it's very rare that I find anything I need. And some of the stuff as well comes from other sources. Like they changed it to, was it Shutterstock, I think they were using, which is fine, except a lot of times you have to actually pay for it to get it, which is kind of annoying. I know that's how Shutterstock works, but the fact they embedded it within Clipart kind of annoyed me a little bit. But yeah, they reckon nobody uses it, and actually that's probably quite true, because you look at the templates that exist, you don't, to be honest, you don't need, like, Clipart was always kind of like a 90s thing, like back in the days when computers were like new and like, oh yeah, we've got to add loads of colour and shit into it. The trouble with Clipart was people used it too much and it looked shit. And it's the same with like Comic Sans. Comic Sans and Clipart went hand in hand. You get primary schools that use Clipart and it looks awful, and you're like, oh god. And I like see some of the stuff that my colleagues create and they're still using Clipart. I'm like, stop now, it's not 1997, it's 2014. Please just use Word, because if you just use Word on its own and use some of the graphical elements in that, you can create a really sleek looking document or poster without much effort, without having to use InDesign, without having to use Photoshop. You might have to do a bit of tweaks here and there, I certainly do. But I mean, actually PowerPoint is my favourite graphic design package ever, because it uses snapping, it's just simple, it's easy, it does what I need it to do, and it's great. Yeah, there's lots of things you can't do within it, but actually, for me, just like my thumbnails, my YouTube thumbnails are all created in there, because all I have to do is change the background and change the text. I can't seem to do that in InDesign, I can't seem to do that in Photoshop. All I want to do is I want to get a template, and edit the text and edit the background. That's all I want for a thumbnail, and I can't seem to manage to do it in anything but PowerPoint. I've tried it in GIMP. GIMP doesn't let me do it either. I can't just swap out the pictures. I've got to fanny around with it, and it's just, it's a pain in the padded ass. So I just use PowerPoint. But anyway, going off on a major tangent, yeah, they're getting rid of it. Gizmodo originally reported this, or this is where I found out about it, but I don't really want to link to that because it's Gizmodo, and yeah, they're nasty and horrible. So I should probably put a link to a few independent and gardening articles, maybe, which is the one I'm showing behind me. Oh yes, my OnePlus One. I need to talk to you about this because where is the frick is it gone? It's over there. So I want to talk to you about my OnePlus One because I got a bit of heat from, actually no, I didn't get a bit of heat from Twitter. I got a bit of heat from like one person about Oppo and OnePlus One. So I moaned about the fact that there are a few bugs on it. In actual fact, there's quite a lot. There's the fact that when you go to full brightness, it does a little bit of a yellow tint. I don't seem to be able to get rid of that, and it's not always the same. So when I go into the camera app, for instance, I've got it set so it goes to full brightness because that's what I want, because I want to be able to see the image I'm taking. And what then happens is I have a bit of a yellow tinge, and I have to wait for the brightness to go down, and a few minutes after that, and then it'll drop it back down again. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a manufacturing default defect with the screen. What I think this is the way the graphics drivers are interfacing with the screen. That's what it looks like to me. There was an old issue whereby there would be like the bottom bar of the screen would go yellow for some unbeknownst reason. This was sort of back in June. Other things that seem to have happened now is the power button on the side doesn't always wake up the device, so I have to restart it after, like, I press the power button to unlock the device and obviously enter my PIN and stuff, and half the time, well, like once in a blue moon it'll do it where it won't actually recognise that. You press it loads and loads of times, and then once it'll then wake up once, and then because you've pressed it loads and loads of times, it'll then go, oh, nuts, and then you still can't get it to work, so you then have to restart it, and then it's fine for a couple of days. What else is wrong with it? I find the front-facing camera's not that great, although a lot of people said it is. What else happens? Oh yeah, for some bizarre reason, if I accidentally brush my finger over the proximity sensor at the top, not all the time, but sometimes, it'll turn the screen off, for no reason at all. And I assume it's because it thinks that I've literally only just woken the device up, and because even though I've disabled this feature, basically there's a feature within it so that it will stop you automatically, it will stop you accidentally waking up your screen. So if it detects there's something over the proximity sensor, it thinks it's in your pocket, and therefore it won't wake it up. But I've disabled that feature, and it's still happening. And every once in a while, you swipe from the top to like get your notifications, and it will turn the screen off, and it's fucking annoying. And it does it once in a blue moon, but when it does it, it's really frustrating. So yeah, there's a few problems with it. But the reason I wanted to mention this, and the reason I wanted to say, yeah, there's all these problems with it, but it's still an effing great device. Like, I think for the money, I think it's worth the risk. I know OnePlus, the support for OnePlus is shit, and I don't necessarily want to blame OnePlus for that, because I think they've done that on purpose. Because let's be honest, they're selling this pretty much at market value. They're not making much of a profit from it. And so, with that in mind, you're not going to expect the support to be insanely good. However, you do expect it to be legal support. Like, if this breaks, I expect, as part of UK and EU law, actual world, international law anyway, that this is covered under warranty. So, for instance, with the things like the screen issue, that should be covered under warranty. Things like the power button issue should be covered under warranty. Now, whether or not it's a software thing, whether or not it's a hardware thing, not too sure. But still, at the end of the day, they should provide you with the decent support for it, because that's what you paid them for, and that's that. Now, they've not stipulated in the terms and conditions when you buy it that they will give you pretty much no warranty and no support, which I would say I'd agree to that, because for the price, I think this cost me 230 quid. Which was insanely good. Like, this is an insane price for a flagship phone. Like, if this was like a proper, like, by Sony or Samsung, it would probably cost, well, 600 quid, 700 quid maybe. It doesn't have an expandable memory, which is annoying. Battery life is insane. Processing power is insane. The screen is massive. It's the same size as an iPhone 6 Plus screen, which I didn't realise. And actually, I'm quite used to the screen size now. It's still a little bit too big. Like, comparing it to my Xperia Z, it's still too big. But now I've gone this size, I can't go smaller. Like, my Moto G now is just tiny in comparison. It's just way too small. I've got my Moto G for work, and I just look at it, and I'm like, but it's tiny. It's like a smartwatch. It's just like a little pager. It's like a tiny little mint box thing. And now I'm used to this sort of size screen. It's like, yeah, it's huge. It's ridiculous. And but yeah, I wanted to mention it because I was like, you know, and you can get it for, well, you can get, anybody can get it now without an invite, which is quite good. They've gone past the pre-order stage and stuff now. You can kind of get it shipped. And yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say though that OnePlus are a nasty company. A lot of people are saying that they are. I think the trouble with OnePlus is they're trying to create a device at an insane price, and as part of that, you're going to expect them to support not to be as good. You're going to expect there to be a lot less polished things. You're not going to expect it to be amazing out of the box, because let's be honest, for 230 quid, that's kind of, you know, that's insane. You know, it's you can't make a markup on that. It's just ridiculous. So I don't really want to blame OnePlus for that, because I think actually it's not really their fault. But I mean, yeah, I will need to do a review of it at some point and tell people whether or not to buy it. But you definitely should go and buy it. If you think about buying one, just go and get it, because it's insane. Yeah, you might have some problems with warranty, but actually it's worth the risk, I think, really, at the end of the day. I don't know many that have failed. I know there's a few, there's been like a handful that have had problems with screens, like dead pixels, and when they've tried to send it back, they get like the 3rd degree from Oppo, and they actually go... Actually, I submitted a support request because my charger never came. Obviously, what they did was they didn't ship it all together, they shipped it directly from the factory in like Shenzhen or something, and the adapter then came via, like, I assume via a ship, because it took pretty much a month to come. And I submitted a support request, like, after 2 weeks. I hadn't heard anything back. Well, after I hadn't received my charger, and I said, can I actually get, like, my charger, because I haven't got one? Like, I was happy. No, it wasn't that, was it? It was the... No, I got the charger. I didn't get the adapter. I didn't get the UK to EU adapter, and they promised me in the order they'd give me one. Now, I could quite easily go out and buy my own, but I thought, I'll contact them and ask them about that, and they never got back to me. They still not got back to me, even though the device has kind of got here. So anyway, a little bit off tangent again, but you kind of get the point. Anyway, back onto some news. Just something I wanted to share with you, because why the hell not? This is a Register article, so you can kind of expect there to be lots of swearing. Well, not swearing, but piss taking, I guess. I'm going to read you the title of the article, because it's quite funny. What a pity, rollout of hated UK smart meters delayed again. Didums, no feasible way to maintain timescales. Crap. Was it Crapita, I think they're calling them. I think they're called Capita, is the actual company that make these things. Theresa May, I think, and a load of idiotic politicians want to roll out smart meters into all the homes, in every single home in Britain. And it'll cost them 200 quid per device for every home. Now, that's fine. If the government want to pay for that and you waste our taxpayers' money on that, that's fine. The problem with the smart meters is they're not very secure. Now, there was sort of a bit of a debate before about, you know, them basically whenever there's any new build, they automatically get a smart meter because that's the way it's going, and that's fine. The trouble with the smart meters they were deploying is they're really insecure and they're really easily hackable. Now, this is good and bad for customers. It's good for customers because if you're that way inclined, you can hack it and you can basically pay less money for your electricity. However, obviously, your electricity board will figure out you're using more than actually... than if you hack it, because they can see what's actually happening further up the line in terms of how much electricity is being used and stuff, and they can kind of track it down on that. So, you can kind of cheat the system, but eventually it'll come and bite you in the ass maybe a couple of years down the line. Secondly, it also means that if you've got anybody that's malicious, they could, in theory, hack somebody's electricity meter to charge them more than they actually used. So, for instance, if there was some bit of commercial espionage going on and, I don't know, one local company and another local company were arguing over something, one local company could hire a security expert to hack into their electricity meter and hack it so that they have like this stupidly huge bill at the end of the month and they can't settle it because they haven't got enough money and it puts them out of business. Or it, delays them. It means they're cut off from the grid. Whatever. It'll take them a few days to get going, and that means that they're going to be at a disadvantage, a commercial disadvantage. A commercial disadvantage. Christ, I need to slow down my talking. I'm just talking way too fast. Yeah, so that was the plan, and there was lots of talk about this happening, and it's a really good idea, except for the fact they're really insecure. They don't meet any international security standards, and it's kind of a pointless waste of time. And also the fact they're going to cost 200 quid. And basically, Capita, who are the people that I think they make the devices, or they're the ones that are running the project or something, they're just like an outsourcing company pretty much. They can't guarantee timescales of when this is going to happen. They're not too sure how much it's going to cost. They're sort of wasting taxpayers' money, and MPs are sort of bashing heads together. Now, the reason I mention this is because it is tech news, and because it's quite it's a thing that I hold quite dear to my heart, and the fact that the MPs are fucking cunts. There's loads of stuff in the UK recently. There's been tons of recently UK porn's changed. You're not allowed to depict consensual spanking. I think you're allowed bondage still. What else are you not allowed? Anything that shows anything violent, even if it's for consent. So rape porn's been out for a while now. What else are you not allowed to show? You're not allowed to show things like fisting and other weird and wonderful things that adults that are over, consenting adults do anyway. You're not allowed to film them in the UK. It does mean that other people outside so you can still create films in America and then ship them over here. That's fine, that's perfectly adequate, but you have to meet BFI standards now, British Film Institute I think it is, for what you're allowed to show and filmed in the UK, which is it's a shame. I mean, not that it matters to me of what porn I watch, but it matters because it means then you're going to push the porn industry abroad, and so you're not going to get the tax from it. It's not a good move, and frankly, it kind of pisses me off because basically this whole debate about porn and the internet and everything like that anyway is decided by people that don't watch it for a start, decided by people who watch it and think it's discussing this and the other. But actually, I don't see there's anything wrong with porn. In actual fact, if you actually look at porn and you look at if you look at the studies that are done on porn, there was lots of aggro about rape porn and things like this. But actually, if you look at the studies, it shows that those that watch rape porn, those that like rape and things like that, those that watch rape porn are less likely to go out and actually rape somebody than if they actually watch it and get their jollies that way. And there's lots of really interesting research about it, and there was lots of things kicking off when they first banned rape porn and stuff. And yeah, I think it's deplorable. I'm not into that kind of thing, but at the same time, not that I would tell you if I was, but at the same time, if it means they're getting their jollies via some virtual thing, then they're not going to go out raping somebody. Now, the argument could be that if you watch it, then might get ideas and then go out and rape somebody, but actually the research suggests otherwise. The research suggests that I'm going to have to try and dig out the article because there's 2 research papers on it. One of them was a UK-based one was a US. Actually, I think one of them might be Swedish as well, or maybe possibly German. But basically they said that they did a survey based not rapists, but on a likelihood of them going out and raping after they've watched certain types of porn and stuff like that, and those that kind of like it. It was a bit of a weird study. It was quite a big study though. I think it was 160 people, I want to say. I can't remember now, and I'm going to have to try and find and dig out the article because it's going to piss me off because I want to have some backup to my actual claims. But oh Jesus, this is a big rant and this is a big off tangent thing. But anyway, yes. That is kind of that. They're sort of delaying it, and thank God, thank the Lord, is all I can say, if he existed. UK slaps 25% Google tax on tech multinationals. Tell us, Chancellor, how you plan to tax profitless firms. So, the Chancellor of the Exchequer did his big announcement, autumn statement, about how he's going to spend the money and the fiscal returns and stuff, the UK economy and all this other crap, and really boring, bland stuff that we should really care about actually as a taxpayer, because then you can decide how you vote politically and all that other kind of stuff. And if you don't vote, then please just go away. I've got no time for you. If you don't vote, I've just got no time for your opinion whatsoever. But yeah, so with Google, this actually is turning into less of a tech thing and more of just a generic news thing, but hey, I'm going to go with it because there wasn't much tech news to really talk about. So yeah, because basically the likes of Google and Amazon and stuff, because our tax system in the UK is so shit, and because we charge so much tax for stupid amounts for just stupid things, companies are finding loopholes in tax codes and tax systems whereby they base their office somewhere else that's outside the UK, and they might do business in the UK, but actually their headquarters isn't in the UK, so therefore they claim they don't need to pay corporation tax. Which is a lie, because essentially you're getting profits from the UK, therefore you should have to pay corporation tax for the UK, no matter where the hell your office is based. If it's based in the US, if it's based in Luxembourg, if it's based in Ireland, it doesn't matter, you should have to pay your corporation tax in the country you are actually creating business. That's just the way it should be. So, because of that, Google have been paying hardly any tax, Starbucks has paid hardly any tax, Amazon have paid hardly any tax, and so the way they're getting around this is what they want to do is they're going to slap a 25% tax on all tech multinationals, no matter where their office is located, and that means that they have to. So I think it's based on the profit. So 25% on every 25% of the profits they make in a year, they have to then give to the tax office. I guess the punishment for not paying it is probably going to be you're not allowed to do business in the UK, which, depending upon how that might not work out so well. It kind of depends. I don't know how they would kind of work that, because things like Starbucks are a bit weird, because Starbucks is a franchise. It's the same with Costa. Like Costa and Starbucks, like they don't actually. All they do is they own a name. They don't actually own the shops. The shops are actually owned by other people, and they're paid by other people, paid by managers, and those people then will pay a certain amount of money to license to Costa, and they'll buy their goods in, all this other kind of stuff. So actually, they end up. The actual shops end up making no money because they charge a quite high premium for the coffee and for the branding and everything like that. So actually, the shops themselves take hardly any money. The profits go sort of in a roundabout way to Starbucks and Costa. It's a really weird, complicated business system. I'm not going to explain it here. I do understand it a little bit, but I'm not going to go into it. So yeah, with that in mind, they've been claiming they don't actually make any profits. At least Starbucks is claiming they haven't made profits since when they came over here in, I don't know whatever it was, 10 years ago. 9 years ago, whenever they came over here anyway, they've claimed they've not made any profits at all, which is a lie. It's a complete and utter lie, because they have made quite a lot, actually. But, now, the reason I mention it, apart from the fact that there's no news, is that I'm slightly worried that the likes of Amazon will start pushing their prices up. You already have to pay a premium for stuff in the UK anyway, because it has to travel halfway around the world to get to you. Things like we have to pay a premium for stuff that's shipped from the US, like Apple stuff costs a lot more over here than it does over there. It's actually cheap. It's probably a lot of stuff is actually cheaper for you to fly over to America, grab it, and take it back. It's the same. And things like Switzerland. If you ever want to buy like big tech stuff, fly to Switzerland, get it because it's tax free. Well, actually, it's not tax free. You actually pay the tax when you're there, and if you're a non-Swiss citizen, you can claim the tax back, which is quite good. And that's if you want to like spend like about, I guess, over $2,000, it is worth doing, because by the time you pay for the flight, which is like 2p, well, it's a little bit more than that, but by the time you apply for the flight and maybe a hotel, you probably actually end up spending either the same money or a little bit less. So it's pretty well, and plus you get a free holiday in Switzerland, or a holiday in Switzerland at the same time. I think there's a few other ones. Is it who else? Luxembourg might do it, and Belgium might do it as well. It's basically any country outside of the EU. I don't think Belgium's part of the EU. It might be. Luxembourg I don't think is. Switzerland definitely isn't. Austria, I think Austria is. I think Switzerland is one of the few. I think Luxembourg and Switzerland are the two that aren't part of the EU. I'm not too sure, because that's where most of the banks are, and before the international laws came in terms of you could just funnel things through Swiss banks and everyone would find out actually how much money you had, and you could do some really weird things. But things have changed, you can't do that anymore, unfortunately. Though you can kind of still do weird tax dodges via Gibraltar and Argentina, I think, maybe, not too sure. But yes, now, yeah, I don't... The thing is, there's a reason this is happening, and it's because the tax system in the UK is shit. Like, the way we do tax in the UK is we tax people with loads and loads of money, which, like, I understand, yes, you should do that, because those that have got, like, millions of pounds, they can afford to spend 50% of their annual income on tax, because, let's be honest, they don't really need it. But, however, what then happens is, because rich people are so greedy, and that's how they became rich, more often than not, they want to then find out ways to dodge tax. So if you reduce the tax they have to pay, they're going to try and find. They're not going to worry about dodging tax. They're probably going to end up paying more tax in the first place. It's the same with the multinationals. Like, if you had a better tax system, Google wouldn't be routing things through Ireland because it would be cheaper for them to go to the UK. So actually, you should be having it where the tax is a lot fairer, and tax should be based on X, Y, and Z. It shouldn't be based on some menial, stupidly high percentage. I mean, 25% is still quite a high number. I mean, it's a quarter of your annual profits, isn't it? Which is a lot. It is a lot. I mean, like, if you did that as for you, that's ridiculous. Like, a quarter of it's been wasted on just shit. And I wouldn't mind so much if the UK government spent the money how it's supposed to be spent, but they're not. They're wasting money on roads. They're wasting money on flood defences as opposed to things like the NHS, schools, and most public sector stuff that we need to keep hold of. But they're worrying about things that we really don't need to worry about. Say roads aren't really a big issue. Yeah, it might be handy if we had bigger roads, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make that much difference, especially the amount of money we want to spend. Flood defences is a waste of time, mainly because if you're stupid enough to live in a floodplain, that's your own stupid fault. Just build houses on stilts. I don't see why we need to have flood defences and wasting money on that. It's just sort of, you know, it's I'd sort of get really angry about this, and I don't really want to get involved because this isn't really what Brew Time's about. This is kind of more techie, but yeah. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I need to say, because if I don't shut up, I'm going to be carrying on for ages. The last thing I wanted to mention, now I don't know how many of you are actually going to get to this point, because yeah, I don't know. I have about £200 worth of AdSense. Now, I can tell you that, you know, is my contract. I've got a non-disclosure agreement with Google. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how much money I earn per click. I can't tell you how much money I earn a month. I can tell you, like, roughly how much money I've got kicking around, because that's fine. But annoyingly, I can't tell you how much money I make from YouTube, because it's kind of all part of non-disclosure agreements, stuff like that. And I'm not even going to go into it. Although Google probably wouldn't care, and they probably wouldn't find out, but still, I don't want to risk it. So, over the course of maybe about a year-ish, give or take, I've got about 200 quid's worth of AdSense revenue, which is really good. Like, that's fantastic. Like, that's because of you guys watching shit and not using AdBlock, which is fantastic, which is great. Although it probably would be 3 times that much if you didn't use AdBlock. But there you go, I'm not in it for the money. So, the reason I'm mentioning this now is because I want to know what you guys want. Because essentially that is your money that is going to be paid for, you know, spent for this stuff. Like this, that's what I'm going to spend it on. I'm not going to spend it on me. As much as I could, you know, I could get, that's £200 I could buy. What could I buy for 200 quid? Not very much, actually. Maybe, what could I buy for 200 quid? I could buy a very nice jacket for 200 quid. I could buy loads of clothes for 200 quid. I could buy a screen. I could buy a 4K screen for 200 quid. I could buy a GoPro Hero for 200 quid. But anyway, what I wanted to know is whether or not I should use that 200 quid to buy something now, that I don't know what. I mean, that would again be up to you guys, I don't know what. Or save that money up and continue to save it until I get about £1,000, and then get you guys again to decide what I should spend my money on. At the moment, I'm thinking about getting a new camera, with then a decent lens as well. I mean, at the moment my 600Ds are right, but really I could do with upgrading to either a 70D or a 700D, because it's a better camera, get a better lens, and you have continual filming, which is kind of what I want. And they've still got swivelly screens, and they're fantastic, and the screen quality is better, and yeah. So, I mean, my 600D is fine, but it's aging, it needs replacing, and yeah. So I'm in the argument whether or not to you know, get a new camera. They'll come with a new kit lens anyway, which is good, and the new kit lens that comes with 70 and 600D, 700D is really good. The 600D one's cheap, nasty, horrible crap, yeah, stuff. Or whether or not I save up and get I think it's a 25 by 130. It's an L lens anyway. It's like this stupidly. It's a fantastic, glorious lens. It's perfect. It's amazing. It's 600 quid's worth of glass, and it's amazing. I don't know what to buy buy that. I don't know whether or not to get like a broadcast quality camera, like say about 1,500, £3,000 maybe, and get that. I don't know. I'm going to poll the people that have donated, so anybody that's donated via PayPal, I'm going to poll anybody that has donated via Patreon, I'm going to ask them what I think I should spend my money on, or whether I should just save it up, or possibly even use it for events, like use it to travel the country or something, although 200 quid is not going to get me very far. It's going to get me maybe one night in a hotel and maybe a few train tickets. It's not going to get me that far at all. The plan next year, if I have a proper job, if I have a proper job, this is the question. This is where the uncertainty lies. If I have a proper job, the plan is to not worry about CES, not worry about much events, apart from EGX Res maybe, is to travel the country and to see some of you guys, to do some collaborations, just to talk with you, meet up, go to London, go to Birmingham, go to Manchester, go to Yorkshire, maybe go to Nottingham, just like everywhere, just travel, go to Bristol, meet some key people, meet some of you guys, and you know, maybe we'll grab a drink, maybe we'll film some stuff, we'll just spend the day together maybe, and that's kind of what I want to do. You know, I want to give back to you guys, I want to meet you, I want to kind of That's what I want to do, because it seems as though that's what you really want. Like, I know when I went into EGX, loads of people wanted to meet up with me, and I only managed to meet up with like 2 people. And that's kind of what I know a lot of you want. And I mean, I know some of you couldn't give a shit, but I know there's quite a lot of you that do want to do that. There's also a lot of you that are like abroad, which is annoying. And unfortunately, I probably can't really get to America. I mean, I might be able to, but it's kind of all, it depends really on money and things. So yeah, and that's that. Now, there was another thing that somebody else mentioned as well. I'm going to shut up in a minute. I'm rattling on a little bit too much. Was that somebody was going about like donations, and I was saying, oh, people aren't donating, and he said, well, actually, like, you should be grateful that people are like viewing your shit and supporting you that way. And like, don't get me wrong, like, I really am. Like, I'm not interested in the money. Like, yeah, great. I can't believe the amount of support I've got, and yeah, I'm still only quite small, but you know, 1,500 subscribers-ish, I think it's about 14, it's like 3 off or something stupid, which really pissed me off. You know, like, ages ago, I was at, well, when was that, like a year ago, maybe I was at like 200 subscribers, I was at less than 1,000, and it's only recently gone up to that high level, you know, past 1,000, which is really great. And yet, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I really appreciate your support, and that's, you know, that's fantastic, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't bother doing it. However, like, this has got to a stage now where I want donations. Not for me, like, this is nothing to do with me, this is for equipment. Now, I can quite happily spend money on equipment, and I don't mind doing that, because this is my hobby, this is what I like doing, I enjoy it. But for me to get better content, and better quality content, I need some money, I need some startup capital to pay for things like cameras, lenses, field equipment, stuff like that. I don't expect you to fund my new next PC. I mean, yeah, I need a new PC for video editing, but I don't expect you to, you know, raise £1,000 so I can go out and buy myself a new PC, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that are specifically for this and only this. Things like a camera, things like microphones, things like, I don't know, like a hotel to go to London for a weekend or something like that. And, you know, donations are important because AdSense doesn't, although, you know, 200 quid is nice, and that's over the course of a year. And, you know, over the course of 2 years, that's 400 quid, which still isn't that much. Like, it is, and if I was out work and I was a teenager, yeah, it'd be loads of money. But, you know, for me working, it's not that much money by the time I have all these other things to pay out, by the time I have storage to pay, rent to pay, getting to work every day to pay. You know, all that kind of costs add up, and this is why I'm kind of imploring people, if you can do, please donate, because it means that I can carry on doing what I'm doing, I can increase the quality content that I've got, and everything's great. Now, I might create a Kickstarter campaign, I might create like an Indiegogo campaign, I don't know, about, you know, maybe to get it up to 500 quid, so that I can, you know, pay for a piece of equipment, which is what I want. And there's been some great people that have supported me through Patreon and PayPal, and I'm really grateful for that. And so yeah, it's kind of just like this is my justification for asking for donations. I don't expect donations, I really don't expect them. But for me to continue what I'm doing, and for me to increase the quality of the content I create, or at least capture the quality of the content I create better, I need that kind of money and that kind of startup capital, which is, you know, I don't have investors, I don't have sponsorship, and as I've seen with the sponsorship I've done in the past, nobody's really interested. Like, I mentioned Enigma Tees, Enigma Clothing, nobody gives a shit. I mentioned Warren's, the Jewelers, nobody gives a shit. I've mentioned Rat Hosting, one person gave a shit. Like, I don't mind that, you know, it doesn't make any difference to me, but, like, that's not the way to make money. And I'm not in it to make money, but I'm in it to create content, really great content for you lot, and, you know, for me to carry on doing that, I need money to pay for equipment. And I'm still happy to pay for the equipment, and Christ knows how much for EGX, probably about £1,000 actually for EGX, in terms of equipment, in terms of getting places, in terms of hotel costs and everything like that. It cost me probably about £1,000 by the time I had a mic and a mic recorder and some cables and this and that and the other thing, a new gaming laptop. You know, all these kind of things add up to a lot of money, and I'm happy to spend it out. I really am, because it's, you know, I enjoy doing it. But with a bit of help from you guys, it would be really, really appreciated. And also, if you donate, it gives you a say in what I spend my money on. So if you donate any amount, whether it's £1, if it's £2, if it's 100 quid, any amount you donate gives you a say in what I spend money on, or what I spend your money on, essentially, including AdSense revenue and everything else like that. So yes, a bit of a weird brew time this week, but yes. Apart from that, I think I shall catch you. Oh no, before we do that, let's hit me up on Twitter at AzzyChill, send me an email, aaron@azzychill.com, and I shall catch you in a later video.